And it almost seems like some kind of water, so maybe team islands. Ah, just normal islands. Okay, so it's just normal islands, which is kind of understandable choice, I would kind of guess, because they don't want to be killed on the land yet again, as they were on the last map, and they probably are thinking that they might be in for something similar if they were to go for them, which is not happening at this point. And well, the first we have a look at right now is Lele, who is playing Vikings with his allies. The Vic is Japanese, Ask is Han, and against them we have Feizao as Japanese, NHK as Hans, and Red Kit as Vikings. So proper mirror, as you usually see on all the maps in Age of Empires. Right now it's not really all that much of a problem, so I don't expect scouting to do anything extra here, so let's just switch off the fog of war. You can see that for deer together with the boar are quite safely, very nicely placed for Lele, so he won't be having any problems gathering that as soon as he can. This stone is kind of problematic because it's very close to the water and will be very easily raidable. So where is his second stone? That's safe though, so yeah, no problem there. But this really is kind of risky, and if they lose the water, this is pretty much toast because he won't be able to defend it at all, especially, well, especially, not really especially, because he is close to his ally. Green is Ask, okay, so that's his ally, so no problem from them. But yeah, really, the water will be all that much important for him to win. He is having a relic on his home island, which is also very nice, and his woodline seems to be kind of normal and seems to be reasonably protected, so he shouldn't be facing some kind of adverse conditions later in the game, or rather early in the game just as well. And let's switch into the second guy. That's going to be the Ask, and he's having all his hunts and together with it all his stone mines and gold mines safe as well. It seems no problem there whatsoever, even though this is not really ideal. He will have to cut down the trees here so that he has proper gathering space around all this gold, but otherwise that's not really a problem. And since he's already gathering here, I don't expect to be any kind of problem for him whatsoever. He's having just 3 deer though, so he's having 1 less than his ally, but he does have boar here, quite nicely placed, and right now luring it very skillfully next to his home. Second boar as well, and that brings me back actually to this guy. Is he having the second boar? Yeah, he is, he is. It's somehow at the very bottom here, and he's placed in very nice houses here, and that's basically just to see if his opponents are trying some raiding or some other shenanigans altogether. So he will be just moving alongside the coast here and placing those at strategical positions. Dock is being placed here, which is, looking at NHK, is across the strait here, kinda aggressive. It's not really defensive. If it was defensive, obviously it would be at the very back. You can see on the minimap that there's quite a lot of fishing spots, which would be very nice for him. And looking at this position, it's not really all that great. Obviously, big nothingness in the middle here, but otherwise quite decent amount at the left. And since he's playing against the worst player of the UykusuZ team, at least rating-wise, he shouldn't be having all that much of a problem playing against him here. So let's see how that will develop for him. NHK has also placed an aggressive dock, so he's probably hoping that his teammates are going to support him because he's kinda cut off from them by this large island, which is housing both stone and gold, but more importantly quite a lot of wood. So I kinda think this is going to be fought over quite intently. And it seems like that the biggest island so far is right now for Red Kit, who is having quite a large amount actually of woodline, and with it everything else, those gold mines are very safe. The relic that's just waiting there to be grabbed, and stone mines are also very nicely placed, so no problem for him whatsoever. His hunt is on the left, also having just 3 deer, not the 4 here, and this Willy is just not doing anything at all at this point, and he's probably just waiting to build another dock, yeah, which is exactly what is happening, and he is, as the only one so far we have seen, going for a defensive dock, so not really going for aggression, so very far away from his own base, and hoping that his opponents are going to be the ones who will be offensive. And you can see that Feizao is also going for aggressive dock, so that's probably the team plan for them. Another relic on UykusuZ Island. Decent safe stone and gold, a lot of woodline. Hunt at the very back, not really a problem, and yeah, map seems to be overall decent, even though this is not ideal, but still, it will be in range, maybe in castle or whatnot, so he can probably defend that if they are having the upper hand on the water. This corner of the map with the fish is not really all that plentiful as the right one, but it's not really very bad. You can survive with that without too much of a problem, I think, There's quite a lot of it at this top spot and at the bottom spot, so not really all that much of a problem. But what is quite curious is the middle of the map here, where right now the Vic, as the last from Klrz, is gathering here, and it's really bountiful and basically made Twig to build his dog kind of aggressively as well, and it seems like that we will be having a lot of engagements between Tvik and his opponent Feizao, and on the right side between NHK and his opponent Lele. Right now we will be advancing into the feudal ages, Lele and the NHK, so it's kind of lucky that they are going to play the same strategy here, so it's probably just going to result into who is just simply better here. Scout at the back, just trying to see what he can see, and the second dog seems to be more defensively placed than the other one, to be placed somewhere here. Yeah, and so far, unfortunately for him, he still doesn't know that there's absolutely nothing in here as far as fish go. Just a few shore fish, and that's pretty much it. Few tunas here, or what is it? Dorados. Sorry, not tunas. And really, kind of empty here, and he's going to be sorely disappointed, and he will probably be switching with at least one dog to the back here so that he can gather and continue gathering for the time to come. So yellow is the first one to advance here with blue, and next in line will be Twig together with Feizao. So it seems like that on the left side we will be seeing similar strategy as well. The dogs are being placed on the left side, which is kind of understandable because he wants to take care of this strait so that nobody actually goes at the back where he wants to fish in the later game. And well, it's going to result in a lot of fighting around this spot. As you can see that Feizao is basically seeing that exactly as we do, and he's going to go for the second dog here, and yep, there's going to be a lot of battles here. Red is at this point probably aiming for some fast castle because he's at the very back having quite a decent amount of fishing boats, and is he probably having the most release at this point? 26, yeah, and Ask is at 29. So really, it seems like that both the pockets are going for the faster castle here, and it's Han and it's Viking. Okay, so let's guess who's going to be better at this. First engagement on the water though is happening at the right between Lele and NHK. That's 2 versus 2. That's basically a micro battle, and so far it seems like that. Yeah, NHK was definitely losing because he was aiming. Each boat was firing at each one of those. You can see that they are kind of half health, and both yellows were actually fighting just one of these. So basically that would have resulted in a win here if it was prolonged battle there. At this point though, it seems like that NHK is having slightly faster build processes here. Having 3 dogs at the very promontory here, and that might actually help him and make all the difference, but he needs to play this properly and micro properly, because otherwise he's just not going to make any advantage of that slight upper point that he has above his opponent, because he is having actually to take all his boats from this very far away, from this peninsula on the right. It almost looks like Italy, and whereas blue is having quite a short route to this battlefield. Well, NHK though is just taking battles that he doesn't want to take at this point, right now recognizing that he doesn't want to fight 3 versus 5, and let's quickly switch to the left side, where it seems like that Teal is having kind of upper hand against Feizao, but not really. It was just that Feizao was waiting for decent amount of boats for himself, and so that he would have a much more much better position for him to take a battle. But right now it seems like that Twig is playing substantially better because he's having like a double amount of votes. That's a serious number from him. Whereas you can see that Feizao is having just 4. And is he just finishing the third dock now? It almost seems so. It almost really seems so that he was running just 2 dogs, and yeah, there's absolutely no wonder then that he was losing this battle, because quite obviously Teal had 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs, and he's building from 4 dogs, whereas Purple was just from 2. Okay, so that was all the difference, and right now he's just Feizao waiting for his army to build. That's pretty much it, and otherwise in the middle, something interesting happening here. No, not much from Red. Ask is going for Castle Age as the first of all. And Red Kit is maybe just very heavily booming here. And is he maybe sending some extra resources? HK maybe? Receiving something. Let's see about that. As the battle is raging on the water, with yellow having quite a decent amount of galleys here, and it seems like that the initial advantage from NHK is not really paying off, as he probably just mismanaged a few of the battles here that just basically cost him the opportunity that he had. And this means that Lele is right now in a much better position because he's simply having the larger numbers and he was having slightly less resources, and you can see that he's very properly microing one boat by one, and that's not what NHK is doing. And all this retreating is just costing him extra galleys all across the board. On the top side, you can see that Feizhou has been able to amass quite a lot of boats here because all those from Tvik were basically just content to shoot at the dock, which was important at that part at the time, but at the same time it just bought Feizhou an extra time to amass some kind of army here, but it's not really strong enough. And even though he's trying to rebuild the lost dock here, it's still not going to be enough, and the 4 versus 2 docks is probably going to result in basically a done deal on the left side, unless he is being helped by Red Kit somehow soon. But that's not really what's happening, as it seems like that the middle pockets are just fighting each other here. As is right now being discovered by his opponent Red Kit, and Red Kit is having a bigger amount of boats, so he is slightly better here. And it seems like that Red Kit is in Castle Age with slightly different strategy than his opponent. Ask is having 32 wheelies, 15 fishing boats, whereas Red Kit is having 30 wheels and 14 fishing boats. So it seems that the green should be having a better game overall, and yeah, NHK is pretty much dead at this point on the right side, as yellow is having just all the boats here, and blue is having absolutely nothing here. He's having 2 galleys, 2. Yeah, that's not really enough, even when these guys are just shooting at the docks. They're just waiting for the inevitable to happen, and maybe waiting for the kid to return back home and help him with at least something. Red is right now just content raiding Ask, who is just scouting around pretty much, not really doing anything all that substantial. But right now he's having the war galleys, but that's not going to be an advantage for too long, because quite obviously, if you can see on the right side, yep, Red is having war galleys just as well. And he's joining on the right, so Lele right now will have to be super careful, because where are those boats? Have they retreated somewhere? No, they actually haven't. It seems like that the blue has just deployed them and basically lost them needlessly to absolutely everything, but right now it is going to be Lele who is going to lose everything, because Red Kit is doing a pretty nice job with his war galleys. Quite nice from both sides, and very nice maneuvering, because right now Lele is in a pretty tough spot because he has to retreat, and all he can do at this point is just advance into Castle Age and go for galleys himself. Kask is trying to help him and actually allow him to do that. Let's switch into Lele to actually see how much resources does he need. And he's pretty much right now clicking. Yeah, he just clicked, so it's going to be just a matter of moments before the situation stabilizes here. But it's stabilized for UykusuZ, because right now they are winning the right side, but on the left they are pretty much losing very heavily, because Tvik is still just pushing the advantage here, and he is the one that is being held by Ask and his war galleys, so that's pretty much a no-go for Feizhou. And yeah, Raiden is going on Red Kit at the back as well, and that's pretty important at this point, because it basically means that he is not having a very safe place to boom as the one that was the first to castle from UykusuZ. And on the right side, it seems like that red, or rather green, is having all the time he needs to actually gather all the resources that he needs, and he is also winning almost on the points. Right now it's just the military score making a difference, and green is also switching from the left side to the right. And it seems like, looking at the minimap, that pretty much fully, because quite obviously Red Kit is fully here, and Lele does need help, because he is half time into Castle Age, and then it's going to take him at least half a minute to actually research the war galleys as well. So he is right now just attempting to maybe just save as many boats as he can for the upgrade into the better version, and it's just going to be up to Ask to somehow defend and maybe make that happen. Yeah, cartography for Lele. Goodbye, Will. Care for Ask. Okay, and that was just basically saying that Lele has to be right now careful, because green is retreating and he's moving somewhere else with all his boats at this point. It doesn't seem like that anybody's really thinking about some kind of landing. Maybe Teal would be. He's just right now going to the left and trying to kill absolutely everything from Feizhou, who is right now basically out of water altogether. And at the very bottom, it seems like that Red Kit is being forced to actually leave some of the boats at this very base to defend against this Radiant from Teal, and is slightly getting out of hand for UykusuZ to defend and do everything. And yes, that's exactly the feeling that the opponents of Klrz had as well, and it seems like that we are at 1-1, and that's the result for the first match of the season 38 of the RTS League's AOC Clan League. So even though Red Kid did do pretty well, he basically saved NHK at the very end, where NHK just got killed by Lele without all that much of a opposition. It just wasn't enough, because on the left that just basically means, or rather meant, that Purple wasn't receiving any help whatsoever, and he was just heavily hammered by Twig, who just killed him 4 dogs versus 2. And later on, helped also by Ask, who was helping with some war galleys, and that was exactly what it took for the battle to be won on the left side. Well, that was quite skillfully played by the Klrz, I have to say, and at this point, let's go and have a look at the achievements that we missed in the last game. Nothing interesting to see here. Well, Red Kit as the best, Tvik as the best for Klrz. Okay, yeah, he was doing pretty well. He just killed his opponent there, and otherwise not much interesting at this point. Units killed best for Tvik, quite obviously, as he was fighting an uneven battle for pretty much the majority of the game. And Ask, yeah, he was playing pretty good pocket there, I have to say. He wasn't under any kind of pressure whatsoever, and he used that to all his advantage. He was having a better fast castle age than the opponent's Red Kit as well, so that basically speaks to a better game overall. And exactly the winning in all those food collected, wood collected, and gold as well. For technology, yes, also the faster castle age obviously results from a better economy, and otherwise villager high 9 more than the Red Kit. Well, that's a huge difference. That really does win you the game. Otherwise, pretty much kind of equal. That much of a difference overall. And yeah, not much interesting happening here either. So yeah, GG.